Before I even begin, I want you to pause for a moment and think about the last time someone truly hurt you. Maybe it was with their words, maybe with their actions. You felt that sting deep inside. A sting that made your heart race, your hands clench, your mind ready to fire back. That's human. That's natural. But here's the truth, it's also exactly what they wanted. You see, every time we react in the heat of the moment, we give away a piece of our power. We let someone else set the tone for our behavior. And that, my friends, is the most expensive thing you can ever give away. Your control over yourself. I learned early in life that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult is worth answering, and not every person deserves the privilege of seeing you lose your calm. What I'm going to share with you today is not just a lesson in patience, it's a lesson in strategy, in strength, and in self-respect. Because when you learn to hold your tongue when your heart is screaming, when you learn to rise above when you're being pulled down, you don't just avoid making a mistake, you win every single time. So stay with me until the end of this conversation, because by the time we're done, you will never again feel the need to react when someone tries to hurt you. You'll know exactly how to turn their attack into your advantage and how to walk away with your dignity, your peace, and your power still in your hands. When you're hurt, whether it's by a careless comment, a betrayal, or a deliberate attempt to provoke you, your natural instinct is to respond. It's almost like an automatic reflex. Your heart beats faster, your voice starts to rise, and every part of you wants to defend your worth in that exact moment. But here's the reality. Reacting in that instant is rarely about solving the problem. More often, it's about proving something to the other person. And that's where we lose ourselves. The first and most powerful thing you can do in that moment is to pause. Just pause. Just pause. You don't need to reply right away. You don't need to show them how their words or actions made you feel. That silence in those first few seconds is not weakness. It's strategy. Because in that silence, you're not just buying time. You're protecting your dignity. You're taking control of the only thing you truly own in this world, yourself. When you choose self-control over reaction, you send a message without saying a single word. You show that you are not a puppet on someone else's string, dancing to their tune. People who want to hurt you thrive on seeing you break, seeing you angry, seeing you step out of your character. They want you to match their chaos with chaos of your own. But when you stay calm, when you don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction, it confuses them. It strips them of the power they thought they had over you. It's not easy. I know that. There are moments when your pride is screaming, say something. Show them they can't treat you like that. But ask yourself, will that really make you feel better? Or will it just pull you into their level, where their rules apply, and your self-respect takes the hit? The hit. The truth is, self-control feels uncomfortable in the moment, but the peace it brings afterward is worth every second of restraint. You have to understand, reacting is about them, but staying in control is about you. When you don't react, you protect your energy. You keep your mind clear. You make space to decide later, with a calm heart and a clear head, whether this is even worth addressing. Most of the time you'll find that it isn't. Most of the time the words you wanted to say in anger aren't even worth breathing out once the fire inside you cools. Self-control is not about avoiding confrontation forever. It's about choosing your battles wisely. It's about realizing that not every situation deserves your time, your words, or your emotional investment. There's a reason some people are able to hold influence, earn respect, and inspire loyalty. It's because they know how to carry themselves when provoked. They know that the loudest voice in the room is not always the most powerful one. The most powerful one is the person who stays composed, collected, and unshaken when others are falling apart. Think about the people you admire most. It's never the ones who are quick to anger, quick to lash out, quick to defend themselves against every little jab. It's the ones who can stand in the storm and still look unbothered. The ones who can hear something meant to break them and still choose not to let it in. That's not an accident. That's a skill. That's a skill. And like any skill, it's built over time by practicing restraint in moments when every part of you wants to do the opposite. When you stop reacting, you also stop feeding the cycle. You take away the reward from people who thrive on conflict. You refuse to give them the emotional explosion they were hoping for. And over time, they learn that trying to provoke you is a waste of their energy. That's when your silence becomes not just a shield, but a statement, a quiet, undeniable declaration that you cannot be controlled. In those moments, remind yourself that the one who stays calm is always the one in control. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to prove your point in that moment. You don't even need to make them understand you. What you need is to walk away with your self-respect intact, knowing you chose yourself over the temptation of reaction. The truth is, every hurtful encounter is a test of your patience, a test of your maturity, a test of how much you value your own peace. And every time you pass that test by staying calm, you grow stronger. You build a foundation inside yourself that cannot be shaken by the careless words or cruel actions of others. So the next time someone tries to hurt you, I want you to remember this. You don't have to play their game. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to match their energy. You are not obligated to step down to their level just because they invited you there. The real power is in walking away, not because you couldn't fight back, but because you knew you didn't have to. And that right there is how you win without ever saying a word. There's a strange misconception in the world today that silence means weakness, that if you don't respond immediately, if you don't fire back, you've somehow surrendered. But the truth couldn't be further from that. Silence, when used with intention, is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have. It speaks volumes without raising its voice. It doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, it doesn't compete, yet it commands respect. When someone tries to hurt you, they're expecting a reaction. They're expecting you to get flustered, defensive, maybe even angry. That's their measure of success, seeing that they've gotten under your skin. But silence robs them of that victory. Silence leaves them with no fuel, no drama, no validation for their effort. It forces them to sit in the emptiness of their own words. I've learned that silence is not passive, it's active. It's a choice. It's deciding that your peace is worth more than proving a point. And it's not about ignoring reality or pretending nothing happened. It's about recognizing that you control when and how you respond. And sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Think about this. Words spoken in anger almost always lead to regret. You can't take them back once they're out there. But silence. Silence leaves no trace of impulsiveness. It leaves no room for someone to twist your words or use them against you later. Instead, it leaves a space that forces the other person to think, to question whether they even reached you, whether they even mattered enough to disturb your calm. There's a quiet elegance in not reacting. It's the same energy you feel from someone who walks away from an argument with their head held high, not because they didn't have a comeback, but because they decided the conversation was beneath them. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. That's knowing that engaging would lower you, not lift you. Some people will mistake your silence for acceptance, and that's fine. Let them. They don't need to know that your silence is not consent, it's calculation. It's you choosing to protect your energy, your mood, your reputation. Because when you engage with someone who thrives on conflict, you've already given them more than they deserve. There's also a hidden strength in not allowing people access to your emotions so easily. You don't have to let everyone see how you feel. You don't have to give them a window into your soul just because they tried to provoke you. Your silence is a boundary. It's saying, you don't get to control the way I feel, and you don't get to dictate the way I respond. And let's be clear. Silence doesn't mean you're ignoring the problem forever. It doesn't mean you won't address it in the right way, at the right time. It simply means you refuse to be rushed into a reaction that benefits them more than it benefits you. It gives you space to assess the situation without the haze of anger clouding your judgment. If you've ever noticed, the people with the greatest influence aren't always the ones who speak the most. They're the ones who choose their words carefully, who only speak when they've decided it's necessary. It's necessary. That's because they understand the value of restraint. They understand that what you don't say is often more powerful than what you do say. Sometimes, silence even makes the other person reveal more than they intended. In the absence of your reaction, they may keep talking, trying harder to get a rise out of you, and in doing so, they expose themselves. They show their insecurity, their motives, their weakness. And all the while, you're sitting there, holding your ground, without lifting a finger. The greatest part about using silence as a shield is how it preserves your dignity. You can walk away from the situation with no regret, no guilt, and no lingering sense of shame for having said something you didn't mean. Instead, you leave with the satisfaction that you didn't let someone else dictate your behavior. There's nothing more unsettling to a person who wanted to hurt you than seeing you unaffected. Your calm becomes their frustration. Your composure becomes their defeat. And that's the beauty of silence. It turns their attempt to harm you into a moment where you demonstrate grace under pressure. You don't owe anyone your reaction. You don't owe anyone the satisfaction of seeing you upset. You get to decide who gets that privilege, and most of the time the answer should be no one. When you truly understand this, you stop letting people pull you into their storms. Instead, you pull them into your calm. The next time you're tempted to fire back, remember this. Silence doesn't mean you lost. Silence means you're in control. Silence means you've decided the conversation is over, whether they realize it or not. And more often than not, that's the most powerful ending you could ever choose. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, the most powerful thing you can say may be nothing at all. Not reacting in the moment isn't just about keeping your calm. It's about protecting the bigger picture. You see, there's a difference between winning a moment and winning in the long run. Sometimes people think that if they can get the last word, they've won. But real success, real strength, is about the impact you leave long after the moment is over. And that's where the decision not to react really shows its value. When you choose not to react, you're not letting the situation control your story. You're not letting one heated exchange define how you'll be remembered. Instead, you're choosing to build a reputation for composure, for emotional strength, and for grace under pressure. That kind of reputation doesn't happen overnight. It's built by consistently choosing the higher road, especially when it would be easier to go low. The truth is, reacting quickly often feels satisfying in the moment, but it rarely serves you in the future. Words spoken in anger can follow you for years. Actions taken out of pride can close doors you didn't even realize you needed open. But when you stay calm, when you hold back, you give yourself the chance to see the situation clearly. And you give others the chance to see you as someone who is not swayed by every challenge that comes your way. In the long run, they remember the one who stayed composed when others lost their temper. They remember the person who didn't add fuel to the fire, but instead kept the peace even when it was hard. And that kind of memory builds respect. It builds trust. People want to work with you, stand by you, and follow your lead because they know you won't let emotions cloud your judgment. It's also important to remember that not reacting often prevents you from burning bridges you might one day need to cross. Life has a way of bringing people back around. Someone who hurt you today might unexpectedly hold an opportunity tomorrow, and if you've destroyed that connection out of anger, there's no going back. But when you stay calm, when you remain respectful even in the face of disrespect, you keep every door open. You don't have to walk through it, but at least you still have the choice. And then there's the way it affects your own inner peace. Regret is heavy. It keeps you up at night, replaying moments you wish you had handled differently. But when you've chosen not to react, you don't carry that weight. You don't have to apologize for something you said without thinking. You don't have to fix the damage caused by one heated moment. Instead, you move forward with a clear conscience, knowing you stayed true to yourself. There's also a subtle shift that happens when you stop reacting. You start focusing on solutions instead of problems. When you're not busy defending yourself or fighting back, you have the clarity to ask, what's really going on here? Why did they say that? What's driving this behavior? Driving this behavior. And more importantly, what's the smartest way to handle it? That shift in perspective is powerful because it turns an emotional situation into a strategic one. Not reacting also shows others that you're not easily manipulated. People who try to hurt you are often testing your boundaries, looking for ways to control you through your emotions. But when you show them that their words and actions can't pull you into a fight, they lose that control. And once they realize they can't push your buttons, they often stop trying. Over time, this ability to stay calm becomes part of your identity. People start to expect it from you. They start to see you as the steady one, the grounded one, the one they can trust when things get difficult. And that kind of reputation isn't just good for your relationships. It's good for your career, your leadership, and your life as a whole. Think about it this way. Every time you choose not to react, you're investing in your future self. You're making a deposit into the bank of your own credibility, your own influence, your own respect. And those deposits add up. They pay off in ways you can't always predict. Opportunities you didn't see coming, relationships you didn't expect to matter, and the quiet confidence of knowing you are always in control of your own actions. So yes, choosing not to react may feel like you're letting something slide in the moment, but in reality, you're doing something much bigger. You're protecting your reputation. You're preserving your relationships. You're ensuring that you can look back on this moment and be proud of the way you handled it. And that is worth far more than any quick comeback or heated response could ever give you. Because in the end, it's not about winning the moment. It's about winning the life you're building. When someone hurts you, it's tempting to believe the only way to feel better is to let them know exactly how much damage they've done. But the truth is, that reaction doesn't actually heal you. It often just deepens the wound. Healing, real healing, happens when you take that pain and use it for something greater. When you turn it into a force that strengthens you instead of breaking you. Every hurt, every disappointment, every betrayal carries within it an opportunity. That opportunity is not to become bitter, but to become better. You see, pain is a teacher. It teaches you who you can trust. It teaches you what you will and will not tolerate. And it teaches you just how strong you truly are. But only if you're willing to step back, breathe, and let the lesson reveal itself. If you react too quickly, you cut off that process. You allow the other person to dictate not only your emotions in that moment, but also the meaning you take from the experience. By holding back, by choosing not to react, you give yourself the time and space to reflect. You can ask yourself questions that matter. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from it? How can I make sure I never find myself in this position again? Sometimes the answer is that you need to set stronger boundaries. Sometimes it's that you need to trust yourself more or to walk away sooner when someone shows you who they are. And sometimes the lesson is simply that you are capable of walking through pain without letting it destroy you. That's the kind of strength you carry forward into every area of your life. The people who grow the most aren't the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who know how to use it. They take every setback, every insult, every moment of rejection, and they turn it into fuel. Fuel to work harder. Fuel to become wiser. Fuel to prove to themselves more than anyone else that they will not be defined by what someone tried to do to them. And here's the thing. When you shift your focus from reacting to growing, you rob the other person of their victory. They wanted to hurt you. They wanted to hurt you. They wanted to pull you down. But instead, you use that moment as a stepping stone to rise higher than you were before. You take the very thing meant to break you and turn it into the reason you become stronger. That transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. You have to decide that no one gets to control your story but you. You have to decide that the way you respond to hurt will be a reflection of your values, not your impulses. And you have to decide that your energy will go toward building your future, not fighting battles that don't deserve your attention. When you take pain and channel it into growth, you also start to see people differently. You realize that those who try to hurt others are often hurting themselves. Their cruelty is a reflection of their own wounds, not your worth. And that perspective allows you to let go of the need for revenge, because you understand that their behavior is already its own consequence. This doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior or pretend it doesn't matter. It means you recognize that carrying it with you, replaying it in your mind, or reacting in anger only keeps you tied to the moment that hurt you. Growth comes when you cut that cord, when you take back your power by refusing to let someone's actions live rent-free in your heart. And the beauty of this approach is that it creates a kind of unshakable confidence. When you've been through pain and come out stronger, you stop fearing it. You stop worrying about what people might say or do, because you've already proven to yourself that you can handle it. And that confidence changes everything. The way you walk into a room, the way you handle challenges, the way you carry yourself when life tests you again. So the next time someone hurts you, instead of asking, "How do I get back at them?" ask, "How do I get better because of this?" That shift will change your life. Because when you focus on turning pain into growth, every attack becomes an opportunity, every wound becomes a lesson, and every setback becomes a setup for something greater. And when you live that way, you don't just survive the moments that were meant to hurt you. You rise above them.